if I'm lucky today and I got the transcoder from Twitch. If not, I have to restart the stream. Same old story. I got it, yes. Hello. This is stream number 441. And I'm going to be working on trying to complete the player login system. This is in the Rust version of my game. So this is what I plan to do part of yesterday and the day before's task that I didn't get to. This client reporting command. So this is used to automatically log players out that were logged in but are no longer connected at the point that cluster leadership changes. So this happens every time I restart the servers, and it can also happen while the servers are running if we take the leader offline or leader crashes, something like that. So at those 2 points, whether it's that we started a new election cycle because the whole game got restarted, or if the leader dies and another leader takes over, those are opportunities where previous connections from players into the game could have been lost and we didn't know that it happened, or we could have lost track of whether it happened. And so this command is meant to handle that. So as a follower, we send a message to the leader whenever leadership changes to report who's currently connected to that server, right? As a leader server, we're going to append a command to the log whenever it assumes leadership, or if we receive this message from the follower. And when the command gets committed across the cluster, then we go back and mark all players logged out that were logged in to the server mentioned in the command, but not listed in that command's player list. So basically anyone who's missing, who's no longer connected, gets logged out automatically. And then I didn't do this either. So if player disconnects from the game right now, they stay logged in to the back end. So we need to, on disconnection, recognize, oh, they're no longer logged in. So let's record them not logged in anymore. So that's going to be the plan for today. And I hope the stream is going okay. No one's come into chat yet, so it always makes me a little uneasy if I go the full intro and no one says anything, but that's fine. Maybe everyone's having a good Friday doing other things. Oh, hey there. CZO Tomo, you're the first one in chat today. Hi, how are you doing? Vaders, how are you doing? Uneven Square, hello. All right. Okay, to start, where am I going today? I am going to main.rs in the game at the point where leadership is changed. So that actually is very near here, right? Leadership change right here. So at this point, we'll know if we're the leader or not if this cluster leader is our ID. And if it's not, if it is or if it's not, we're going to do two separate things, right? So if leader, actually the leader could be none. So this should be if leader.isSum. If we know who the leader is, then we're going to generate a client report and then either push it into the command list or send a message to the leader to do that. Bring your own load balancer. It's not for load balancing. It clusters for state replication, for fault tolerance primarily. So we're using Raft. Here's the game in production. Here's a link to the game, by the way. Hey there, Rambane. How are you doing today? So in production, I think I have 3 servers going. So I can take any one of these servers offline like this, and the game's still going to run. There's a little pause there because I think what was happening there is the camera we were using was being supported by that server, so it had to switch over to another server for that camera. So the game still runs even though one of the servers is offline, and I can take that other server back online, and it'll catch up. The Raft algorithm allows us to take the entire state of the game, like all the game's variables, and get a copy made for every single server in the cluster. That way any server could run the game. Oh, do I have to hit public? I think I had to hit public there. Huh. I guess it's not coming back online. Oh, there it goes. It's just a delay. All right. Done with the sequel? I'm done for now. I don't want to do, like, days and days in the same subject, so I'm kind of bouncing around. I didn't think the SQL stuff was that interesting, so I didn't want to make it a focus of the stream this week after the first day. What OS am I using? Windows, yes. Although the back end of the game in production is in AWS on a Linux virtual machine. Hey there, Manes. How are you? So I hope that answers the question. This isn't for load balancing, although we could have a system where the server can hand off clients to each other to make sure they have an even load of clients. That's not the primary goal. It's just to make sure that it's fault tolerant. So if a server crashes, we have two other servers that can continue this progression to the state of the game while the other one gets booted back up. Visual Studio is streaming. All right. So this is where a leader is elected in the cluster. So if we are the leader, I guess we should say if let some leader equals leader. If the leader is our own ID, if we are the leader, we're going to do append client player report command. Otherwise, it's send player report to leader to be appended. There were 69 viewers, and I said 69 viewers, very nice. And then you got banned. What? You got banned because you used a number that some people who have a certain connotation for the number 69 find offensive? That sucks. Sorry that happened to you, Menez. Although maybe that isn't such a bad thing? I don't know. I guess their mods are super, super sensitive. Yes. I don't think we need to say any more. It'd be like if you said there were, you know, some other number that has a weird connotation to it. Hey there, Enduran. What are you doing up so late? Yeah, Enduran, Manez is saying the Visual Studio stream banned him for using the number 69 out of context, of course. So, a little bit strict. And hey there, A squared. Hey, Enduran. Hey, A squared. Probably more for talking viewer counts. Is that bannable? To mention how many viewers there are? That'd be kind of weird. Yeah, what am I doing up so late? I took a bit to get things going today because of why. Not really any good reason. Oh, I wanted to clean up the stuff that I had left over from yesterday. Like I had a whole bunch of to-dos in here to like document when I'm not tired, and I'm like, I don't need to stream this documentation. I'll just wait till I wrap that stuff up and then start streaming. Oh, you just got timed out? Okay, so then that's fine. You just got a slap on the wrist. Yeah, maybe they had already warned someone else. You never know, right? Okay, so we need to actually form both of these are going to need to have a list of the players connected, right? Which reminds me that I need to go back to peer and update this because is this the right? No, this isn't the right file. Where would peer be declared? Realm server, connections, connection, peer. Okay, here we go. It's in connection. I forgot to add this yesterday. So these are like hold like all the possible agents that might connect to our game, right? So I don't have a variant for a player, and I think I would like to add that. So a player first connects through the public API and is unknown, and then they get upgraded to either an admin or a player with a certain player ID when they authenticate, right? It's 20 minutes to 1 a.m. Well, to me, it's only 20 minutes to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This probably won't be as long of a stream as it was yesterday. I think I went like 8 hours. I think it's only going to be like a 2.5 hour stream today. We'll see. Okay, so I need to import player ID. All right. Fix some of these errors here. So identify as orchestrator. Yeah. There are going to be some new match arms here. Right here. Actually, let's put that in order. You know what would be really useful for me is a plugin that just sorts variants, sorts structure members alphabetically. Because Rust FMT doesn't do that. Or maybe there was a maybe we could have ask for that feature in Rust FMT. Okay, so a player should never identify as an orchestrator. So we can say something like, I don't know, error. Player, someone attempted to identify themselves as an orchestrator from some host. So then we would, we'd have like player ID. Comma. And I think we're going to need that down here, right, for identifying as a realm server. So, a player should not identify itself as a realm server either. Server ID, there. Yeah, I saw you did a bunch of coding. Breaking it's fine, as long as you put it back together. You accidentally set the interest period to monthly, to annually somewhere in the code, and you almost crashed your PC. Crash your PC? I thought it was running in the browser. Worst that could happen is crashing the browser tab or the browser instance, right? Don't worry about it. Breaking it's fine, you can fix it. Unless you do an infinite loop. I've gotten it to where I've had to, where an infinite loop where you're allocating memory. I've gotten it to where the system comes to a crawl because it starts to thrash the swap space. Not exactly crashing the system, but making it pretty much unusable. That you might be able to do. Okay, so here's where we would actually want, when a connection is closed and they've already logged in as a player, here's where we might want to automatically log them out, right? So I'm going to put a to-do. Here's where we would perform the logout procedure. If we are the leader, append a logout command directly to the log. Otherwise, send a message to the leader. Let's just reuse, like I think I did this in the C++ version of the game. We'll just send a player report message to the leader. Just to reuse that. Hey there, Dante. 9992. How are you doing? Spammed Alt F4 and it took 2 minutes to close the window. Yeah, I usually use Process Explorer and then find the process and kill it. Okay, so we don't use a player ID yet. I'm just finding all the compiler errors now that I introduced a new kind of connection. So this is if we get a binary message. Orchestrator, realm server, unknown private. Yeah, so we shouldn't be on this list. We should be on this list. Or peer player, some player number. Although maybe I want to handle it differently, right? This is handling a message. Message is the same for admin and non-admin. Yeah, really, I think I know how to break this up. I think we need to break this up. Admin should be able to send some commands. Unknown public connections should be able to send a few commands. And then authenticated players should be able to send some commands. The original for this came for the unknown public, right? Handle game. Let's rename this to unknown public message. Okay, and a lot of these will be the same. I wonder if I could share some of the same code between these three arms. Maybe if I provided this as a function? A function that takes what? The message, and we would capture connection ID and wrap sync sender into it. I'll think about that later. Maybe put a note here. To do. Maybe we can share some of the code between this match arm and the next two. Why do you close the window via a keyboard? Just take the window flame and drag it down? Because it won't respond to it, right? You have to go to the window manager or the process manager and kill it there. Okay, so this should be handle game admin message. Right? And then the same thing here. This is why it would be nice if we had, maybe if I used a generic of some kind. Generic based off of the peer type, maybe? I'll have to think about it. So this would be player message. All right, so let me go to here. This function then gets split, right? Because there are some messages that we allow the admin to send and some that we don't. That we don't allow unless they... some that we expect an admin to send and some that we expect non-admins to send. Okay, so unknown public. Admin and player, right? Okay, so an admin should not be using these ones at all, actually. They should not identify as a player. In fact, there's nothing that they should be sending. An admin can't send anything yet. And I still need to handle this to do, which I'm multiplying the problem here, aren't I? I guess I'm just doing a catch-all here. And it would be warn unexpected message sent by admin. Hold on. Do I want to prefix it with a... Yeah, I think I do. This is the convention I'm using to include the connection ID, so I can link messages together in the log. So it would be connection ID message. And I suppose for now we will just do a warning in the log and ignore it. In the future though, I might want to return an error to the connection or maybe even disconnect them. Done something else from troubleshooting to try again with a fresh... Okay, after you've... Yep. Win is still a win, yep. Yeah. I wonder if I'll just end up suppressing a lot of these warnings. Yeah, I'm just going to suppress this for now because we're going to be filling in more, we're going to be filling in arms later. So to do, remove this once the match has real arms. And we don't need this. What's wrong with this? We will be consuming the client message, so I'm just going to suppress that one as well. Remove this once the function actually uses the client message or something. All right. Player message. I'll do that last because I don't have any yet, but I will very soon, right? Actually, no, I won't. So maybe just copy over this for now, for player message. sent by player blank. So yeah, let's include the player ID. Yeah, why not? We can, right? Why not? So this is player ID. Can actually be player ID message. Okay, and then the unknown public, you can say that you're an admin, you can complete the admin handshake, or you can say that you're a player. Right. Hey there, Grey Jack. Mostly just finishing up the whole procedure, but yeah, kind of a continuation from yesterday. So we can log in and everything. It just can't. The logout doesn't work, and the when we restart the game, it doesn't auto log out people who are logged in from the previous term of the game. All right. So we get to use the player ID down here. Oh. I guess I could borrow it. Why not, right? Then, yeah, we're not using this yet. That's why we can't borrow it. So we had to do that. Because it comes from, yeah. At least I think that's what the problem was. Maybe not. Oh, I have to break these up. I have to say, let player ID equal player ID. And then that. And then we're no longer using the self-reference from that point. Too many lines. Yes, indeed. We will need to refactor this to reduce the line count. Refactor this. If has identical blocks, deny if else. Okay. Well, I guess that we can work on that next. Is that the only error I have? Actually, a better thing to do would be to go here to problems. I don't know why this one is up at all. Close that. Okay, we're not constructing that. Yeah, let's do that. Can I just suppress this one for now? Why does this one show up as an error? Remove this. Oh. I forgot to copy that block down to here for that warning. I just want to see no warnings, no errors. Yeah, okay, so this last warning, that's because that's a reminder that we're not actually changing the peer identification when someone logs in. So that's handle unknown public message when they log in. Actually, no, it's put into the log or it's forwarded. To the leader, right? Right. Handle it. Add commands, right? So then when it comes back, it's Realm server, handle raft event. Right, and that's, yeah, here it's in here. I need to remove this out into another function because it's way too nested. Yeah, here we go. If they successfully log in, right, then I need to change the nature of the connection. We have the connection, right? Maybe I don't. I get it down here, actually. Right, so it's right here. So the connection dot peer. Oh, all right. I wanted to make this opaque, so I would be like set player ID. So you need to add that as a method here. Pub function set player. Hey there, Metro Dev. Perhaps if you put to do there, does Clippy still complain? I probably could have done that too. Thank you for reminding me about that. I, for some reason, forgot to think about that. Player ID. Alright, so kind of similar to set admin. Yeah, we just set the peer. I don't even need to copy that. Self.peer equals peer player ID. That's all I need to do. Just records the fact that that player is connected to the server on this connection. Okay, now it's down to no warnings, right? No problems. Great. So then, looking at all the to-dos in this file. What to do first? Maybe check this in, because really I was just beating around doing some preparation work for what I was going to need to do soon, right? Oh, it was, yeah. This is sort of a side quest to identify connections. Yeah, right. Identify connections for logged in players, because we're going to need this to generate the logged in player report. Really, that's what it comes down to. Okay, so then yes. Actually, that's one of the things we did. The other one was split public message handling between admin, players, and unknown clients. Yeah, so this is what I don't want to stage. This is coming next. This, unstage for now. Ah! I didn't do the right thing. I want to do unstage lines. Unstage lines. Hey there, Uber Unix. Is that a new stream overlay? It's the same overlay, but it is a new theme for it. So Stream Parrot, made by CM Griffin, Chris Griffin, he added a hacker theme to it. So we're using that. This starting just this week. All right, so what did I say is the summary for this? Prep work for completing, well, that's okay. I would say work in progress. I'm being rated by Kodako? I hope I said your name right, Kodako? How are you folks doing? Hello? Hi. I'm just committing some code right now. Hold on. El Kodako. Work in progress. So what I'm doing, this is work in progress in completing the login mechanism. Let me give a quick intro, all right? Because I already have the window open. This is the game I'm working on. Not gonna hop on Discord tonight, need to get up early tomorrow. All right, hey, the initiative. Yeah, notification is pretty cool. This game is inspired by old games from the 1980s, like Ultima 4 and Ultima 5, that I used to play when I was a kid, so I've been trying to make my own game like that, mostly from scratch here on this stream. And the last year I've been changing the programming language that I use. So in production right now, the back end of the game, which is on the cloud and Amazon Web Services, is C++ based. And the front end of the game runs in the browser using React, Redux, and Phaser for the graphics. So I'm changing it all to Rust. So this has become a Rust stream. So what I'm doing today is the login mechanism for the game. So, for example, that you can log in with username and password. If I type in the correct password, it will, okay, the back end of the game is not up, but if it was, we would be able to log into the game. So I did most of it yesterday and the day before, and I'm just doing the final touches on it today. Thought you followed yet already? Maybe you unfollowed me. Is there a Rust game crate? For the Rust the game? Okay, so this is Rust the programming language. And if you're asking, like, is there a crate you can use for game dev? Check out rwewebyet. Actually, I always forget if it's .org or .com. So it's rwewebyet. Yeah, there it is. If you're interested in using Rust for the web, and there's also Are We Game Yet? Right? Thank you, A Squared. So I'm using my own framework, but I'm cobbling it together from a lot of other people's work. So here are all the things I'm using directly in the game server. There's quite a few of them. I guess most prominent here would be that I'm using Ring for all the encryption stuff. I am using all the future stuff. I'm using async standard stuff. I'm using RustQLite for the database. And the rest of it's either my stuff. Okay, I'm also using CRD. The rest of it's either my stuff or it is the things that most people use anyway. Like almost everyone uses log and anyhow and struct op, right? The ones that say path here are my own creations. So I made my own web stuff, so my own HTTP client and server. I made my own implementation of Raft. Let me give a link out for Raft. So that's the fault tolerance replication system. I didn't design it. You can read about it more on raftgithub.io. But it allows me to have fault tolerance here. I have 3 servers running the game instead of 1, and I can kill off any one server and the game will continue. Each game instance gets a copy of the game state. They're constantly kept in sync with the Raft algorithm. And each one has its own SQLite database, which allows me to keep the connection between server and database very simple. It's one-to-one. It's very. It's not a one-to-many architecture, which would be more complicated, where I'd have to maybe deal with contention and transactions and stuff like that. So yeah, most of these you can tell are just building blocks. So there's no one huge overarching game dev framework that I'm using for the backend. The front end is a little different. Because there's a lot of work you have to do to get Rust into the web browser. So I am using the U framework. That's the big one. That's how you make, one of the ways you can make a front-end web app with WebAssembly. So we're using the WebAssembly bindgen, stuff like that. And so JS bindings. I'm using Algebra for linear algebra stuff for the graphics I need, and some baseline things, but everything else is trying to do from scratch. Like I'm doing the WebGL from scratch. I'm using all these web APIs myself. So the crypto APIs, going straight to the HTML, and going straight to WebGL, and using the crypto library. So yeah, mostly just cobbling things together. Did I miss any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to check this commit in. Let's see. Main contenders are Bevy, Amethyst, Piston. I didn't know about Bevy, but I knew about Amethyst and Piston. Yeah. So there are lots of options you can pick from, and I guess they are all evolving, but none of them is considered like authoritatively complete or anything. Your D key is broken. Oh no. It's always sort of feels bad, man, when your keyboard starts to break. Okay, so this check-in was doing what now? I feel like this should have gone into the last commit and I didn't stage it correctly. Yeah, this just didn't get committed right. I think what I meant to unstage part of this, right? Yeah, I meant to unstage these lines and commit everything else. It was just this that I wanted to commit. This I'm not ready to commit yet. This is the next piece of work. That's when the raft leadership changes, we're going to mark all the players that are no longer connected to be logged out. So, yeah. If you have any questions, let me know. A lot of the work I'm doing is made a little bit more complicated because we have multiple servers, right? So whenever you connect to the game, you might be connected to any one of these 3 servers. So like this one here indicates that I'm connected through this server, because if no one was connected, this would all be 0, right? Actually, I think this is the total current client counter. So if someone else connected to the game, one of these numbers would go up. So when you log in, you authenticate with one server, but all the servers have to know you're logged in, right? And then when you disconnect, we have to tell all the servers that you're logged out. And then, hey, look, there's Manez typing in chat. Whenever the leadership of this cluster changes, then we have to make sure that we didn't lose any clients. So we have to write some code for that. And also, when we shut the whole game down and turn it back on, we have to clear everyone's no longer logged in who was logged in when we shut down, right? So that's what I'm working on today. Now let me find where that place was. It was leadership change, right? Here. Okay. We're going to remove that. Remove this when the following code is done. This is just to prevent a compiler error, because I'll show you. You get a compiler error that says the if and the else blocks are identical. They're not going to be for in a moment. But before I do that, I want to get the current list of all the connections that are for players. So that would be like, we're going to want this in a vector, right? So I guess, actually, yeah. Vector? Why not? So let players connected equal... Let me think about this. We need to go through our connections. Iterate it. How come this is not... It's a hash map, so I should be able to iterate it, right? And then filter. And I actually don't care about the keys at all, so I could just say values. So we're iterating just the connections, or a connection, and then collecting it at the end, right? So the connection would be connection.peer. How come it's not helping with the type here? Let's just say true here for now. Let's give it a type. Just want to make sure that there are no compiler. Okay, there is a compiler error. That's the problem. No. Oh, I need to go into connections and ask it for connections. Hey, Miscavige, how are you doing? Thank you for the raid. Thank you, Dr. Maruku. One of your keyboards is 33 years old? That's amazing that it still works. VS Code derps a lot for you too. Not as powerful as Visual Studio, but it's more, well, I think it's more flexible than Visual Studio. And it's not the editor for everyone. Yeah, the name here is confusing. It's connections dot connections dot. I don't like this. Is this meant to be opaque? Oh, it is. It's not public. Yeah, okay, so I suppose we should just let the type itself do this. Yeah, let's have the type itself do this. So, let's do player report. Player report. Self. And it gives back a vector. Actually, why not just make it give out an iterator? Item is player ID. Okay, and then this would be self.connections, like what I was typing down here. Connections.values.filter connection true filter map from a connection to if let peer player ID equal connection.peer some player ID, else none. And I already see what's going to happen here. I'm going to want to do a map, aren't I? Actually, if that was an option, I could do a map. Okay, and so what's wrong here? I need to import player ID. Oh, it's impl, not dyn. All right, so I need to actually dereference the player ID. Self has an anonymous lifetime. Yes, so I have to say plus that, I think. There we go. So a little bit of arcana in Rust is that we're returning an iterator, and I'm kind of being loose about the type here. Impl means we're going to return some type that the compiler will figure out for me that implements the trait iterator and has an implied lifetime, and that's the important part. The actual implementation of this iterator trait is whatever filter map returns. If I hover over that, it'll say it's a filter map type within the within whatever module that's declared in, right? So the way an iterator works is it's lazily evaluated. So you don't get all of the player IDs when you call this function. You get an iterator which you can use to get them one at a time by calling a next function. So the fact that we're retrieving the player IDs from the connections that are part of self means that we're continuing to borrow self for as long as we hold on to the iterator. So this borrow of self kind of gets held onto by this iterator. So to make the compiler happy about the reference to self living long enough, we have to say, we'll just put in a lifetime here that's implied by this. Another way to do it would be to actually declare a lifetime and use it in both places, right? So we can say that to be more clear about it, saying that whatever the lifetime of this reference self is, that's how long this iterator lives for. Or saying it another way, this iterator cannot live longer than this borrow for self. The borrow for self gets extended to be there as long as this iterator exists. So, but the shorthand is to just say, since we only have one reference in the signature of the function, we can just say, we'll figure it out. There's only one possible lifetime it could be, right? I tend to think that the compiler ought to be able to figure that out on its own, but obviously it doesn't. And it detects it at this point and gives us the error that self has an anonymous lifetime, but it needs to satisfy a static lifetime requirement. That might be because by default, this has a static lifetime requirement. And if you say that it also needs to be some lifetime that's not static, then it's like, okay, well, the only one that could fit there is the one for self, so now we're good. Hey there, TS Just, how are you today? All right, so this will iterate all of the players connected to the game on this server, right? So at this point, then I can do self.connections.playerReport collect into a vector, right? So that should give me the vector of all players that are connected to us. So then what do we do with that depends if we're the leader or not. If we want to append the command, we would just do self.gamestate.append. I forget how I did this. I did it up here, so let me check. Let me see what I did. Yeah, log in. if the player exists and the hash matches. Oh wait, no, it didn't happen here. This is on commit. It's somewhere else in this function. So let me record where we are here. So let me find where we did like the login. This is it, right? Oh, right. We had to tell Raft that we want to add a command. Yes, we want to do this. Here. Okay, so we'll need the Raft sync sender. I don't think I made it available to this function. Yeah, so we'll need to do that. And then, is that in self, actually? I don't think it is. Nope. So we'll have to pass it in. Thank you for the follows. The on-stream chat is extremely fancy. It's made by CM Griffing. Let me give him another shout out. He's probably streaming right now working on it. And we did give him the suggestion to have it be a tilde username. Yeah. So feel free to go add your voice to the suggestion for him. Okay, so I need to invent a new game command here, right? This would be player report, which would have a vector of player IDs in it. I guess no. We also need a server. Server ID, usize, players. All right. So a server is reporting which players are currently connected to it. Okay, I'm just copying some documentation here. This is the identifier of the server to which the players are connected. These are the identifiers of the players currently connected to this reporting server. All right, so now we have a player report, and I can say the server ID is us, self ID, and the players are the players connected. Okay, so we have a compiler error up here, right? Because now we have to handle that command when it comes back through. So I'll just say to do handle this by automatically logging out any players not listed who were previously logged in. Okay, well, we'll get back to that later. All right, so I can remove that now probably, right? Yeah. Actually, we do have a Raft sync sender, or do we? I'm control clicking that and it's not going anywhere, which probably means that Rust Analyzer needs to be restarted. Did I miss anything in chat? Let me know if I did. Sometimes things get a little hectic and I miss some chat. I think I'm going to restart to reload the window because it is getting confused about Raft sync sender there. It should be telling me that that's a syntax error, I think. Or it should be able to tell me where that symbol is. I'm waiting for it to indexing to finish. Nixpog, Natepog? Are you testing out the fonts there? Why is this still not working? That's a compiler error, right? Yeah. Non-exhaustive pattern. So it should have complained about a non-exhaustive pattern in a different place. I wonder if that's why. Aborting due to previous error. That's probably why it's not getting there, right? It's down here. It's a problem. Yep. All right. We'll fix this. Up. Try again. Fill match arm. This is what do we do when someone wants to print out the game command in the for the debugger. So we'll just say player report and then include a server number. I guess we could list the players. Debug that list. Players. All right. Okay, now this reporting is a syntax error. I couldn't find it. So I need that variable passed in here. Find all references. Here's where it's called. Do we have X? So here we have the sender, so I can just plug it in here, right? And take this and go there and add it here. And now we're good. So what that is, I'll explain what it is. It's a channel, which is like a pipe, a message pipe. That unbounded send means we're sending through that pipe. The unbounded part means that allocate memory if required to hold the thing in the pipe, as opposed to giving us an error if the pipe is full. So basically, the pipe can never be full unless we run out of memory. Send something through the pipe. The thing we're sending is this value, which is a variant of this enum in my Raft library. And these are used to tell the Raft subsystem to do stuff. So the add command variant says to request the server to add a given command to the cluster's log. Server has to be the leader to accept this command, otherwise it's ignored. That's why I have this leader check, right? If we're the leader of the cluster, we're allowed to add commands directly to the cluster's log. If we're not, we need to send a message to the leader to politely ask that it do it for us. And the receiver, being the leader, can then do this. Are we testing the overlay with the plus equals to dash 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 arrow? Or are you talking about the font plus equals? Plus equals doesn't fold anything. That doesn't fold anything, but that does. The font ligatures? Maybe I'm missing the context, KKMPS. Spent 2 hours debugging simple math. Oh, I see. You're answering that one. 2-hour simple math issue, trying to align an address to 8 bytes. See if you can spot the issue. Pointer plus equals 8 minus pointer mod 8. Pointer mod 8 is always going to be less than 8. 8 minus that. So if it's 1, it'll add 7. Is the problem that the pointer is not a pointer to bytes, but a pointer to something larger than a byte? I don't think it's the no need for 8 minus. I think you need the 8 minus if you want to align, like, round up. No, they're raw bytes. Then what is the problem? I don't know. I don't know why I'm not... I should be able to answer that kind of a problem. Missing semicolon. What happens when the pointer is already aligned? Oh, shoot. Yeah, then 8 minus 0 is 8. Yeah. You have to do the whole thing mod 8, right? Another way... Well, hold on. Yeah, don't you have to mod 8 again? Yeah, you only... That's my same problem. I didn't consider 0. I should have, though. I considered 7, and I considered 4 or 1 or something like that, but I didn't consider 0. Did you say the chat had ligature support? Yeah. Well, no, the chat doesn't, but my editor does. That's another thing we could ask Chris to do, is enable font ligatures in the chat overlay. Wouldn't that be cool? Okay, I want to do this to do now. So, kind of like the login, right? was... Okay, we don't need that one anymore. Okay, where do we do the login? Here. Oh, thank you for the follow. Okay, where is that referenced? Ha. Yeah, here we go. This is what I want. Oh no, that's not it. I want this one actually, and I have to do it the same way actually. Yeah, but I really just need this, right? Get the leader and yep, get the leader and send the request, and I'll copy the to-do along with it. There. So yeah, instead of doing this way, we're going to do match leader. Some leader if this wasn't even correct before. Oh no, it was this one that was. Oh, I'm doing this in the wrong spot. Yeah, there, up, there. Actually, I guess I don't need that, because we've already extracted the leader ID out. So then, let's just change this to leader ID. Then I can use it down here. And then, yeah, we can combine that else and that if together. So if we are the leader, otherwise, if we have a connection to the leader, otherwise we don't know what to do. If we have a connection to the leader, then find the connection. We should be able to find it. Send them a private message that we're... Okay, I don't want to do a forwarded client message here. I want to do a new kind of message. Player report. And we only need the players connected, right? We only need this line. Oh, it's flute time. People flute. If you hear the flute in the background, it's my son playing the flute. Okay, so that goes here, right? So I need to add that to game private message. Player report. Vector? Actually, why does it need to be a vector? It needed to be a vector to put into the command. I guess we'll just keep it a vector because it's easier that way. I think I just whacked the microphone. Sorry about that. Right, and I made a note to myself to... I only really need to worry about this between versions of the game, right? I can go ahead and reorder this stuff now. In fact, that's what I did earlier. If I reorder this, I will break the orchestrator unless I... Yeah, okay. There's a consequence for doing this, like it's like shown here. But I want to put it in alphabetical order right now, at least to begin with. Okay. Just need to import player ID. Oh. We have a problem here then, right? Where is player ID defined? I don't think it's defined anywhere here. Game state depends on this library. Oh, no, it doesn't. So if we depended on game state, we'd be fine. I want to be careful I don't cause a circular dependency. So we can just depend on game state for this. Yes, okay. Oh, hey, Zero Jolico, how are you doing? And thank you, A Squared. Yeah, we're doing my game in Rust. Did some OS dev a long time back and while. It wasn't very fun though. It was before 1.0. Yeah, I don't think I would have wanted to do Rust back during 1.0. Game state equals path game state. Now I should be able to reference player ID. I gotta wait till it's done indexing. Import game state player ID. There we go. Make sure all my uses are together. Okay. All right. Great. So it's going to forward the player report to the leader. 2 steps done, right? So that was this. And here's where we receive it. No, this is where. This is where we execute it. I want to handle where we receive it. That actually should be a compiler error because the arm is missing. Yeah, right here. Handle game private message, exactly. Fill the match arm. And that goes here, right? Okay, so this is the players connected. I think because we're getting to this from 2 different spots, I might want to call a common function. Actually, what I did yesterday was I just, oh, I did call a common function, which did that. So maybe I want to do the same thing. From there, and then from, not here, I don't need this one anymore. Hold on, I lost the place. Was it? It was right here, right? Here. This, I don't want to duplicate this, right? So let's extract this as a function. Refactor, extract into function. The function's name is going to be append player report. Self dot, right? Did it misplace my function? It did. And it also didn't know to put it in self. That was, okay, that's not good. Did I just do that wrong? Let me try again. So that, refactor, extract into function. Yeah, it's not doing self dot. I don't know why. It's like not going to know what self is, right? I guess I'll just do it myself. Function append player report. Self players is a vector of player IDs. And there we need to know the server ID as well, right? There's the body. So server ID is known. Oh, need the raft sync. This guy. That I might want to make a type alias because it's really unwieldy. Players connected. Actually, it's just players, so players. Players. And I guess we didn't need to mutate self. So really, it doesn't need to be in the structure at all. So I can move it down past there, down to here somewhere, like right here. All right, right here. Append player report. Server ID is ourself. The players is the players connected, and it needs the raft sync sender. Yep. Okay, so then I should be able to reuse that up here. Append player report. Server ID in this case is the connection ID, right? It's whoever sent it to us. Yep. Connection ID, and then players connected, and then wrapped sync sender. Okay, good. So we'll get to append player report, and either if another server tells us to do it, or if we do it ourselves because we're the leader. And there's where we forward it. Okay, so then all that's remaining to do is just to execute it here. Thought there's a Rust resources command. I should make one, right? I think I've been meaning to do that. Maybe there is one here and we just don't remember the name of it. There's the Rust team, which I actually included that link now into Rust, didn't I? Yeah. Is there like a learn Rust? There's a learn overall. There's a learn programming, which alias is to learn. Let's just add a command. Add com learn Rust. Because that's the one you tried to type. Do we just want to make it the link to the one I usually look up? Rust learn. This one? Learn Rust. There we go. Thank you, A squared. Yeah, so if you want to learn the programming language that I'm using today, go to that link. There are 3 starting, like, choose your own adventure options. You can either read the book, the Rust programming language, if you like to read books to learn things. There is like a step-by-step tutorial kind of course that you can go through called the Rustlings course. And there's also the Learning Rust by Example, which is kind of like a book, but it just dumps you into code, and then you just learn by reading code. So then you can move on to the documentation for other things in there. Or just by starting here, you should have enough to start coding yourself. The Bible is the book. There's also the Rustnomicon. Oh, suggestion. At possibilities, when you ask an NPC example, you talk to George and gives you the available commands for him, such as currently available. The menace, if you play my game, the intent is for it to be like the old Ultima games, and for there, it was by design that you had to guess what you're supposed to ask. And like what A squared said, like the manual that, or the intro to the game, the tutorial would either directly tell you or hint at that there are some common things you can ask almost any NPC. So like try asking them their name and their job, and if they'll join your party. And then from what they give answers to, you're supposed to like figure out what the next keywords were. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no tutorial yet. So you have to be like an expert in the know about how to play. Okay, so I think the way to do this is to just go through all the players, right? Yes. We have the game state available, so go through all the players, and any of them that are logged into the server that aren't in this list then get logged out. So then I really want it to be a hash set for easy lookup, right? So let players equal players dot into iter collect into a hash set first, right? Okay. And then for player in, actually for player ID, player in game state dot players. If, actually I guess we can filter this to get rid of some of the ifs. Filter. iter mute filter. This is getting kind of horizontal, so I'll hit enter, do a line break. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. The predicate here would be given player ID and player that player dot oh, I'm not even recording where they're logged in. I need to add that. Okay, so it would be like server ID equals server ID. And it would just grab only those players. And it would be if not players, let's just give this a better name, connected. If not players connected contains player ID. What type is that going to be? A reference. So that also takes a reference, right? Yes. So then we would want to say like info player something with their number is no longer connected. Yeah, this being so indented, I'll have to fix, maybe to fix today during the refactoring hour. Player dot name. How come I can't type name? I should be able to get to the access to the player name. Player ID. Yeah, so that doesn't exist. Let's just add it now. So pub server ID usize, pub client ID usize. I actually don't know if I need that one. No, I do. If you were to send a whisper to another player, it would have to go to the server and say, whisper. We want to whisper that player, so we'd have to look at what client is that player. Yeah. So let's document this. This is the identifier of the server to which the player is currently logged in. Actually, it should probably be an option, right? Because if they're not logged in, there would be a none. This is the identifier of the client to which the player is current. This is the identifier of the client connection the player is using to talk to the server. That's also going to be an... actually, this whole thing is going to be an option, so maybe I need to have a subtype here. It won't match the database exactly, but I can handle that in the ORM. But it properly should be like pub struct player login or something, and then we would just copy these two without the option. Like that. Oh, I forgot to copy the comment. And I'll say, this identifies how the player is logged into the game. And then I just make this one into what? Login? Sure. Option. Player login. This identifies how the player is... If and how? If how the player is currently logged into the game. I think let's do it that way. So then this becomes... I guess we would filter by matches, right? Matches. Player.login, comma. Player login. Oh, it's not an enum. Oh no, it's going to be sum. Sum player login if player login dot server ID equals server ID. Okay, I guess I'll have to indent it because it's long enough to need me to indent it for it. Login sounds ambiguous here. You go with session? I don't know. Session sounds ambiguous, as ambiguous to login to me, as login to me. Why does login sound ambiguous? Does it mean like, as in it could be the verb login? When I use it in state, it usually means a noun. So if I think, what is login the noun? I think of session, but I guess we could use, it's just synonym. Okay, other people reading it probably, you're right, you probably recognize it better as session. So that's what we'll call it. Because the credential component name clash. That's true. In fact, I might want to call this like login credentials. I don't know. That'll give you a point. Thank you very much for the suggestion. So then this would be session play. Whoa. I guess I hit F3 instead of F2. Watch out when I'm clicking, Raimu. Some session if the server ID is the same. Okay. So, yeah. So this will filter it out and give us all of the players and their IDs if they are connected to the server in the report. And basically, if the player ID doesn't show up in the report, then they're no longer connected. So then we would want to say player.session is none. Yeah, that's it. And we've done it. Do we have any compiler errors? Yes, we do. What file is it in? I guess I can just go to problems to see that. Yep, so this is in the ORM. So how we load it from the database, right? So then I think the way I want to do this is we'll want to include it in the select, right? So session server, session client. Too long, so let me wrap it. And then we'll have two more rows. So, oh, I meant to combine these two, and I never did. Let me make another to-do. I'm not going to do it right this second. But really, there's no reason for me to have these separate ones here. To-do. Combine the following two maps. Combine the following query and then with the map. Thank you for the follow. I do appreciate that. Okay, so at this level, the row.6 and 7 are the session information. So I think the way I'll do it is they both have to be not none, so or not null. So let session equal if, well, first let session server equal row.get6 or row.6. Actually, I don't even need to do this, right? This is just to give him fancy names. We can give him fancy names. If let some, if let, and then some server ID, comma, some client ID equal the tuple. Actually, I don't even need the names. I can just do that. So if let some server ID and some client ID equal those two. Basically, if they're both non-null, then this should say if let equal. Oh, you can't do that? Oh, I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know. My brain fart. That's what I'm going to say it was. Yeah, it doesn't know what the types are because we haven't associated. So this should be let's that the rest session was over here, right? You can't have an else to an if. I guess you can't have an else to an if let, right? Else none. So then this is some player session server ID client ID. Hmm. Player session. How come I can't import that? I think I must have a syntax error here somewhere. This syntax is kind of clumsy, isn't it? Nighty night, man is. See you later. What happened to the old game that's written C++? It's still running in the cloud, Java love, but the goal for me is to convert it all to Rust now. But you can still take a look at the C++ version of it. Okay, I guess I'll just manually import it from the crate. Oh, is it because I didn't expose it? There's a big comment here. What's this trying to tell me? Oh, sure. Yeah, so we can do that, and at this level do... Session as player session. I think that's what I was probably missing here. Actually, this is still a problem. Yeah, this is just session. All right, and then, yeah, down here. Now I should be able to... Oh, no, there's some other syntax error going on here. What did I do wrong? Nope. Let session equal... If let that equal that else none. Yeah, I did take it too seriously. Yep. You asked for it. Player session. I think the problem is here is I have two different errors and one is getting in the way of the other one. Oh, a U size won't work here. So I have to say like as I size, as U size, or I size. I forget how I did this. Let's just search for it. Do I really want to do all that, all this junk? Okay, fine. I'll do it. Down here, right? Let session ID equal row 6. Unable to parse it. Column name is session server. Actually, what is this a shadow for? Session. Yeah, I did pick U size. If I had picked like a type that had a from to SQL, it would be nicer. I might do that. I kind of like the idea of not using that, but doing like I did for player ID and having it be a new type. That way I can implement the to and from SQL for it myself. Yeah, anyway, for this will be for now. Maybe with a to-do here. To-do. This would be much cleaner if server client IDs were their own new types and handled to from SQL. So this one was, yeah, session server. Unexpected negative server ID. That should have been server, not session ID. Client. Session client. Unexpected negative client ID. From row .7. Okay, and then these get replaced. Server ID, client ID. How come these types didn't get set right? Do I need to say U size? Why do I need to say U size there? Oh, I need to say option. Oh, these might be options. Dang it. This is more complicated than I thought it would be. Grr. Rust looks so clunky to you, especially how it seems to be reliant on attributes. I'm not using that many attributes here. Hardly any or do you mean like the type annotations? I shouldn't need a type annotation here. It's a sign that I'm doing something wrong. What I'm doing wrong here is that this is really a nullable, and it's telling me that down here. Though you just get used to how the compiler talks to you. It's different for every language. So for Rust, it tends to like detect a problem in a different place. So here it's detecting, oh well, I expected a usize, but you found an option. It's like, oh yeah, I wanted it to be an option, but it's not. It's a usize. So yeah, I meant this to be option usize, right? But now it's going to move the problem because it'll say, I don't know how to turn an isize into an option isize. So the actually what it says is option usize convert from isize. Yeah, so it's like it isn't an option. What if I did option? Would this work? Can you go from one option to another option? That I don't know. No. So yeah, I have to do like a map or something, right? So it's gonna look a little weird until I figure it out. It's like row.6, which is an option isize, and then map, I think. Server ID. And this map will turn it into the usize, and then which means I have to do this inside of there, and then do that because it's going to return an error, and then this becomes a server ID. Let's see, did I get that right? Yeah, okay, so then that can go away because it's implied below. And then I'll just copy this to replace row 7, the client ID. Client ID. Client. So, and I had this to do here because it would be cleaner if the to and from SQL just did that for me. I think you use some value. Yeah, I'm doing it right here. Haskell, when we use optionals, we write it in some t. Yeah, that's what you mean. Like I could do it if trying to work with option isize to option usize, I would just do it. But otherwise, we're just going to take the option and map, which says if it's something, then with that something, do the conversion. And here we're converting from an isize to a result, a possibly fallible conversion, right? To a result of usize. So this will do the early exit if it fails, and the error is this one. You could turn the result in SQL into an option. Result in the SQL? The SQL gives me an option. These are all, well, there is there could be an even earlier error return, and that's if where is that caught actually? That is caught when we do this and then, I believe, because it would yeah, is that where we would map the errors here into that? I think that's where it is, because this, actually, why is this an error now? Type annotation is needed. Okay, so I'm not completely done. Probably because of this, because we're missing stuff, yeah. So session. Now it should be okay? Okay, no, it's, okay. It needs type annotation for some reason. Oh, how gross is that? Why does it need a type annotation for that? Rust, why you do this to me? It just needs to know the type of the error? Then can I just say result of some type and then Error. Oh, it's specifically a RustQlite error. Really? I have to actually list all of the underscores? Why do I need to do that? Because of some other problem, right? Probably one of these types is ambiguous. Oh, yeah, because it doesn't know. It could be many different types here, so it's really on these that I need to put usize to. No? Sorry, isize. Well, hold on, then it should know the type. And now I'm really confused. It shouldn't need that, so why does... Don't replace the 6 with the 7? Oh, was that the problem? That wasn't it, but that was another problem. Thank you, a wild Apjana. Hold on, my shoe's bugging me. Let me take it off. I'll be right back. Ah, much better. Okay. What's wrong with my row here? I guess I will be specific here, right? Option isize. Find out why I didn't like that type. Yeah, okay, so it comes down to here. Oh, right, because, okay. Yeah, this map might turn it into a result, but it didn't start out as a result, so I need to do like OK map. I think. No? How do you turn something... wait, let's look at the cheat sheet. How do you turn something into an option something? Actually, it's okay. No, no, not okay. It should just be okay row map. Oh no, that's not right either. Dang it. Would it be okay around the whole thing? I can't think right now. It's not okay. No pun intended. This is an option, so if it's something, map that something to a result, which might early return. Oh, do I want to do a transpose here? Is that it? Yes. How did that work though? Because if this is none, map just does nothing to it, right? So wouldn't it just stay a none? Map's option to option. Oh. It turns an option I size into an option result U size, and then transpose turns it into a result option U size, and then early return if it's an error we get. Okay, so that's correct. Although it's really weird to think about. So yeah, I need a transpose here. Yeah, another reason to do that, to hide away all this garbage. Okay, so I probably don't need the type annotation because it can figure out the type now, because it makes sense, right? No? Why do you need a type annotation there? Why? Do I actually need to say option usize? Nope. Why does it need a type annotation for that? It obviously needs to know that type. Why? I should be able to figure it out from the context that this needs to be some usize. Some usize. So usize. Maybe it's just too ambiguous with everything I'm doing. Okay, I'm just gonna... I'll put a note on there. To do. Figure out why we need a type annotation here. Actually, combining this with that might do away with the need to do the type annotation at all. Figure out possibly well, if we combine the query map with the map, this might possibly go away. All right, anyway, I've done enough. I've beaten the thing to death. Okay, all right, the orchestrator needs to be updated because it might receive those messages and it needs to, like, give me an error if it receives them. I'm actually starting to think I ought to just have a catch-all in the orchestrator for all of these things, like unexpected something. For now, we'll just add the match arms. Peer unexpectedly gave us a player report. All right, we good now, compiler? Nope. Main. Oh, yeah, just borrow. We only need to borrow the session to look at it there. Okay. We're able to build now. I can test. So the test for this should be that if I log in and then I restart the game, it'll auto log out. Thank you for the follow. So let's test it. Cargo. I also want to build bin, well, release bin orchestrator. Rebuild the orchestrator. Thank you for the follows. I hope you're enjoying the stream so far. Even if it makes what I'm doing makes absolutely no sense, I hope it's at least interesting. Feel free to ask any questions. I'll try to answer them if I can. I like to do that, especially if there are people who like maybe almost understand what I'm doing and just have a question that would help them understand. Target release, orchestrator, exe to the stage, please. Packet, and then the package script. This takes the Realm server executable there and puts into a zip file that the orchestrator uses to make 3 copies and then run the 3 servers. So we do that next. Actually, here's where I want to be careful. I want to blow away the old logs. So delete stage 10 these logs, right? Because those have like old login commands in it. Now we can run it, right? Stage, orchestrator, localhost. Never wrote Rust, but you'd like to listen to my thought process. It's called rubber ducking. Do I have a command for that? Before I type the command and embarrass myself, let's see if I have one. Nope. I should make one though. What I do on this stream, which other streams that I like to watch that our devs do, is called rubber ducking. Or rubber duck debugging, where It comes from the story in a book where a developer carries around a rubber duck, and they debug their code by forcing themselves to explain the code line by line to the duck. The idea is that if you can explain through your thought process, that it gives you confirmation that you understand what you're doing, or at least you think you understand what you're doing, and that you thought through enough of it to be able to explain it to other people. Uh-oh, we're crashing. Why are we crashing? Stage, realm, server. What arguments does it need? It needs the realm and the ID. No such column session server. Oh, we changed the database. I need to re-import the database. Yeah. You're not ducks. Unless you think ducks are very valuable and exceptional beings, and then sure, you can be a duck. You would like to be a duck? It's just a term, though. I don't mean to imply that you are ducks. I mean, the process is the same. It's kind of like if you're explaining to someone looking over your shoulder. It helps to explain because they understand it better, and then you get confirmation, self-confirmation that you at least think you understand it. To get a crab instead of okay, so maybe we're calling it rubber crabbing? Rubber crabbing? Or just crabbing? I don't know. I need to re-import the database because we changed the schema, and I didn't do a proper migration thing because I don't have a production build for this yet. So that would be cargo run bin game state JSON --s. Oh, I don't even want to do it in this directory. I want to do it in the stage. Cargo run bin game state JSON --s game snapshot -t game tickets import Candinal. Okay, and then copy that game DB, overwriting each instance of the game. Okay, and then I have to touch up the master, the seed config file, because that gets imported from an old snapshot that doesn't have the correct version in here. Then I can run it, I think. Oh, they're still crashing. Why are you crash? Oh, I actually never did the I never actually did the migration change. It's trying to fetch a column that doesn't exist. Okay. Yeah, you can do an SQL command to get something. Like, yeah, I went where was it that I did this? Is this where it was? Yeah. No, this isn't it. It's in game state, right? I meant to put this in a file called players. So we can perfectly find add columns here, but it won't work unless those columns actually exist, right? So the columns don't actually exist unless they're in the migration, database migration step that creates the table in the first place. Oh, okay. So they're there, they're just not named right. So it's server ID and client ID. Actually, I have an opportunity to name it that. Maybe I should take that opportunity. So it would be put that there and that there. And then I just need to make sure that where we use that string server ID, that it's changed if it was in an SQL statement. I don't think it actually ever... Oh, no, it's here. No, it's not there. Yeah, I don't think I actually ever do that. We can actually look from select. So dialogue stuff. I do name it that, but I don't need to name it that. It's just named that because that's what it was in the original JSON. Was session or server ID, right? It's named that there, but that's the old format. So I actually don't really need to rename it there. I just need to make sure it's renamed. Okay, really it's only here where it has to be named correctly. All right, then I'm going to redo what I just did. CD stage, re-import the database. So this will include the, actually I guess I didn't need to, no, this will change the names of the columns to be the correct names, right? So then overwrite the databases. And yeah, I'll have to fix up the config file again. Because every time I do that, it resets these. All right, and then now run it. There we go. Okay, so the test is log in, then restart the backend, and make sure it does a log out automatically. So where's my login? There it is. Log in. I'm logged in, right? Now shut the backend off. Might as well just. Oh, I never did the front end when we get disconnected from the game. It doesn't try to reconnect, does it? That's a problem. Actually, it should only be able to reconnect if we have a token, which we haven't implemented yet. So that's fine. Just log out. Here's the test here. Will it auto log out? No longer connected. No longer connected. Wait a minute. I guess Alex was connected in the database import? Wait, I don't think this is right. No longer connected. I don't think this is right, because here's a login on client 5 for server 10, right? But it never, okay, at some point it should say that there's a leader. It should have done a player report at that point. Who's the leader? Leader is some server 10, okay. Then at this point, okay, here's the command. It added one command at that index. Actually, it added another one. These must be the client reports from the other two servers, and this must be its own report. So after it gets added, then when we have to actually commit all the way up to 323 to see that. Yeah, I actually don't think it got implemented. It actually didn't actually get executed correctly. Testing on prod? No. And they keep saying that Rust is race conditions free. It is race conditions free. I think just the commands are getting in there and they're not being executed correctly. Because this login should be followed by a player remove 5 is no longer connected. Unless these are out of order. These can't be out of order though. No, this is where we did the committing log, right? And I didn't see a log out, so something's wrong. I think I'm going to turn on the debugging then. Log debug. All right. Okay, here's the player report. And you guys can't see it because the window's too wide. If I scroll down, now you can peek behind there. Player report, server ID. Oh, the server ID is wrong. That's why. Okay. This happened yesterday where I confused the server ID with the connection ID. Yeah, this won't work. Yeah, okay, that's the problem. I'm confusing connection and server ID again. All right, where did I do that? Where we make the command? So, back in the main. Actually, let's just trace it from this point, the commit point. No, it's a leadership change point right here. This is correct. That's our own ID. Server ID. So that one should be correct. So the one from the leader should be correct. Who's the leader? The leader is 10. So the one from 10 should be correct. So let me look for player report. Yeah. The one from 10 is correct. It says server ID 10, but the other ones are incorrect. So it must be where we're not the leader. So down where will we look? I keep losing my place. Here, right? Yeah, where we handle this player report game private message. Yeah, this one. Okay, okay, that's wrong. I need to actually get the server ID for that connection. How do I do that before? This one. We actually have it here. I'm just using the wrong variable. Oh, wait, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Yeah, I need to do that again for, oh no, we have that available. I'm inside of that block, so I can just use server ID. Right? Nope, I'm not. I'm just confused. I need that if right here. If it came from another server, then we use the server ID for the report. That's what it is. And why can I not use that? Because it needs to be dereferenced. Okay, let's try that now. Cargo build. That means I'll have to strike the log again. And then, because the command is wrong in the log now. It's race condition free unless you use Rust wrong. Yeah, new type all ID saves time. Yeah, this is probably a lesson that I should move my server and connection IDs to new types. Hey there, Protopoly. W package 2.0.0-alpha. And then I'm going to just strike the log files out. So the log files are named based off of the base index in the snapshot or the database. So that means this is the number of commands we've executed so far in the test rig for the old version of the game. I actually looked at it the other day in production, and it's almost done 1 billion commands since we started the game a couple years ago. So it's a good thing that I picked a 64-bit integer for the index, because we're going to blow 4 billion commands in no time. Only another like 5 or 6 years. That's no time, right? So stage, orchestrator, localhost. So this will actually log out some old connections that are in there, right? Yeah, player no longer connected. And there should have been an Alex too, right? Maybe not. Maybe that was a bug from before. Okay, so then do a login. So we're logged in, right? And see, the close didn't trigger a log out, but when I stop the server and start it again, here it should realize that I'm no longer connected, and it should issue a log out. I actually don't see it. Did I screw it up again? Yep, probably. I probably screwed it up again. So let's do the debug. No, there they are. Applying command. Player reports no players. It's harder to look at the log when I'm enabled debug, but we get more information out of it. Okay, here's server 10. No longer connected, but then there was a login in the log. They're logged in. The server 11, client 5. And then there's a player report that there's no players on server 11. So it should have logged me out at that point. I don't know why it didn't. Oh, I know why. I never record the session, right? Or no, did I? I can't remember. Do I record the session on login? I might have forgotten to do that. It might not have needed to log me out because I never actually logged in completely. That was in handle wrapped event commit login. Oh yeah, look at that. We never actually did anything. Okay, I feel silly. We just printed that they're logged in, but we didn't actually do anything. To log them in, we have to do a couple of things, right? Let me think about this. This is changing the game state, not the connection. So that I know how I got confused. I changed in the connection the peer, but we never recorded it in the game state. So we need to do that here. Player.session is some player session. Do I need to import that? Yeah, okay. Still struct field, server ID and client ID, right? We already have them. So that's what I did wrong. We never actually recorded them. Okay, so it's behind a shared... All right, so we have to do get mute, because we're actually changing the player record now. And we have to do mutable reference. So we're changing the game state now to apply the command. Cargo build. How do you get VS Code to format each time you save? I believe that is in my settings. Let me find it. Okay, the Clippy is Rust Analyzer check on save. Oh, maybe it wasn't through Rust Analyzer. It was through like format on save, like a generic editor thing. Yeah. I did it down here for Rust. Editor format on save true. So you can do it globally. I chose to do it only for certain kinds of files. So I did it for Rust and for CSS only. So I think it's because I was getting annoyed with like the my JavaScript being formatted every time I saved it because I didn't like the formatter. But yeah, editor.format on save. But then I also had to do this Rust Analyzer Rust format extra args plus nightly because I use features of Rust formatter that are only available in the nightly build. So you might have to do that too. This become obsolete now? Huh. Okay. Yoink. So what happens if you don't touch your settings file in a long time? Things get obsoleted. Property suppress show key bindings notice is not allowed. Why do I have that in there then? Why would they say it's not allowed, but it be a warning? I don't know. Let's just delete it. And what, these don't exist anymore? They're unknown. Okay. So those must have gotten changed or removed at some point. Unknown. Yeah, so those things must have got renamed. Who knows what they are now? Yeah. Okay. So I don't need to blow away the log. The commands to log in are in the log. I just need to repackage and run, and it should... Let's just hope that we don't need to look at it in debug. It should do an auto log out of me now. Yep, there we are. So I'm logged in, but now I'm no longer connected, so I'm logged out. And so because the log is never deleted, things are just appended to the end. Every time I log in, we'll have another login command added to the log, and so if the server restarts, it has to reprocess all those logins and logouts. The only time we ever stop doing that is if we compact the log into the database, which I haven't written the code for yet, but we'll probably make a decision that when the log gets to a certain size, that we just apply all the log things to the database, which compacts the log, and we start a new log. It's bigger than your Vim in it. Yeah, I guess I'm a little picky about the settings I use. It's okay, it works. So server 10, right? We added our I wonder if I could say if it's one command, maybe just show me the name of the command, because that would be nice to see. It's probably the player report. And then these are probably the player reports from the other servers, right? That one probably is. Yeah. That's ours. That's server, like one of the other servers. That's the third server. And then when it gets committed down here, then... Am I missing something? Where does it actually... Oh, it got processed up here. When we advance that to that, then they're no longer... It was originally connected, no longer connected, logged in, and then no longer connected again. I should probably be consistent about the log messages, right? I think I want a combination of that and that. Actually, do I even need to... Do I care about the player ID? Maybe. Let me find those two messages in the code. So one of them is no longer connected, right? So that I kind of wanted to format it. Yeah, this with a debug. And the other one was logged into. So that one I wanted to include the ID in parentheses. Player ID. Yeah. So now I'm kind of getting nitpicky with it, but that's okay, right? It's okay to be nitpicky. Cargo build. Is Adam dead? I saw some streamer using Adam the other day. Yep. So we can actually see it in all three servers. No longer connected, logged in, no longer connected again. So yeah, every time we start up the game, it's going to replay the log, which is what's happening here. On all three servers. So there are basically like the database has me logged in, and it says, well, you're not connected now, so you're not you're logged out, and then it starts replaying the log and says, okay, we have a login command in the log, and then we have another report that says you're no longer there, and then it hits the end of the log. All right. Just check this in. It's working. Oh, I wanted to also handle when we log out while game is running. That's a big one, right? You disconnect, it should log you out. Okay. Let's say sort game private message variants. I should never do that after I make a production release, because it can screw things up if one version of the game talks to an older version. Okay. Right, so add player reports, which cause the leader to automatically no, it's not leader. It's which causes players to be automatically logged out if server no longer has a record. No longer has a. I need to reword this. Add player reports which cause players to be automatically logged out if they're missing from the report. If they were logged in, but are now missing from the report. All right, so then that's this. Add a player session to player game in memory state. In memory? Memory. I have some to-dos to clean to work on to clean up. Right. Rename server ID to session server. In well, this is a. How about and client ID to session client in player table. Yep, that was added. Yep, we added that. Yes. That allows us to generate the report. Okay. Oh, one more. So this is automatically log out players no longer connected. Okay, push that. So logging them out when they disconnect while we're live, that's what I'm gonna do now. So then we know when they disconnect because we have a handle disconnection, handle connection closed, right? And I have a to-do here. Here's where we would perform the logout procedure. If we are the leader, append the logout command directly. Otherwise, send a player report. Okay, so we don't have a logout command yet. I'm going to add that. And the reason why, actually, I was just stopping to think, maybe I could use the player report even when we are the leader. I guess I could. It's just going to be it's going to be a bit more work for the servers. Actually, why don't I just... What if I just send a logout message to the leader? Why do I need to reuse the player report message? Hi, Anakin Luke. How are you doing today? Hi. Yeah, we're doing logout stuff right now. Okay. Let me put a bookmark there because we're going to get back there. leader. Yeah, I kind of want this, right? Because if there's no leader, we don't need to do anything, because once we get a new leader, we'll just do a player report. Yeah, so I'm going to copy this. It's the same pattern, right? We'll put it right here. Get rid of that. Okay, so then for none, we don't need to do anything. Maybe I'll put a comment here. We don't need to do anything here because in this case, there is no leader. And when a leader gets elected, we will then generate a player report, which will detect all players logged out. So yeah, we can't really proceed when there is no leader, and we don't need to remember that they logged out, because we'll just detect that they're not connected at the point that the leader gets elected. So if we are the leader, that's what this means. If the cluster leader is some leader ID, if that leader ID is our own ID, then we're just going to append the logout directly. So I don't need this junk. I can just say, do I not have access to this raft? Oh, I don't. I need that raft sync sender. I need this guy. Up here. Which means where this is called, I need the raft sync sender. Where is this called from? From the worker. Okay. Raft sync sender. Back to here. Wait, there's a bug here? 3 were supplied? No, there were 2. So I never hit save, that's why. Okay, that's why. Good evening, Everx. How are you today? Or this evening for you, I guess. So raft sync sender dot unbounded send. I don't know why I'm just typing this when I could just be copying it. Yeah, I can just copy this, right? Why type it when you can copy it from somewhere else? So if we're the leader, no longer connected and they were a player, we're just going to do a server command logout. And all we need to know is the player ID, right? Logout player ID. Right? So we need to add that as a new kind of command. Oh, shoot. I didn't do that right. This isn't right, actually. I wanted to do this one. We need to tell raft to add a command, and then that command is, or that list of commands is one thing, which is a logout. Yeah, sorry. This is a logout with just the player ID. Yeah, and it will be referenced because that's a reference to an ID, and we need one there. Okay, so game command. Logout, right? And this one, if I were to... I should probably have a note here, because if I just insert one here, it'll screw up the log file, because the log file has everything serialized. So this is like, you know, number 0, number 1. So I really should add to the end. I think I'll add to the end, but I'll have a note here to, I'll have a note here to sort them before I do a release. Sort these variants before the next release. Just because I like to sort them alphabetically. But for now, I'll just put it at the end. Log out player ID. Player previously connected to the server. to the game has disconnected. There we go. You find this on this sleepless evening / morning. 1:44 in the morning. That's up pretty late, but it is a Friday night, Saturday morning, so I guess it's okay. Just stay up late on the Friday, right? Okay, this should just be that. It's not a structure. There we go. So, if we're the leader, we just add the logout command directly. If we're not the leader, we need to find the leader and send them a message to log out the player, right? I think, again, I just need to, yeah. All it needs to know is the player ID. So we just need to add this for private game message. I think I'll put another note here. Note. Kind of like the other note. Actually, that note shouldn't have been in the doc comment. It should just be a normal comment. Like that. Okay. Log out. Player ID. It's 1:48 over there? Yeah, it's been 4 minutes since the previous message where it was 1:44. Okay, so again, if we're the leader, just append the logout command. If we're not the leader, find the leader, send them a message to please, you know, we want to ask politely that the player has logged out. If we can't find the leader, what do we do? Actually, I know what's going to happen here, right? No, I don't know what's going to happen. We do have a problem here. If we lose our connection to the leader, and then we get reconnected, the rest of the game is going to think that that player might still be logged in. So I need to keep that to do, because like we might have to, like when we reconnect to a leader, like let them know, hey, in the meantime, since we last talked, these players logged out. Like probably I'll just do a player report every time we re-establish a connection to the leader and we know someone's logged out since. Probably what I'll do is I set a flag here saying player report needed. And when we get connected to the leader again, I would say if player report needed, just send it. Yeah, but I just leave it a to-do for now. One of those edge cases I don't need to have working yet. Okay, so there are two places I need to handle, right? Where we receive the message to log someone out, and then we have to actually process the logout message. Those will be caught by these nice red squigglies, right? So this is the handling of that message. Log out. Which I have not done correctly. It should have been there. I don't want to touch the order of the messages that came before. Otherwise, like, I'd have to recompile the orchestrator because its ID is in the wrong place. Anyway, but I can arrange these in whatever order I want, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it up here. So this is player ID. And we want to handle it similar to a player report, right? Actually, yeah, why don't I make an append player logout or something, append logout. Find the right place, right here. Self, is it? No, it's not even self. It's just append logout. So we need the player ID and the sync sender. Player ID raft sync sender. And then that goes here. Like that. This is just player ID. And then, yeah, that should work, right? Oh, we don't need that star. But when we call append logout, I'll need to put the star in there. I think. Yeah, I'm not getting help from the compiler because I have other errors, but that's what I want, right? So then I can do the same thing down here where we handle private message logout right here. I could just do that, append logout player ID. This, now that we have that, right? I mean, we don't have a reference. We own that value, so I don't have to dereference it. And that should be fine. Okay, and then the last place down here where this compiler error is, right? This is where we're actually applying the command logout. All right, to apply the logout command, player ID, similar to this, right? We need to go through... Actually, no, we don't have to go through anything. I just need to look up the player by their ID, and if they exist, remove their session, right? So if let some player equal game state players dot get mute player ID, which we might have to borrow, then player dot session is none, and we'll do an info here. Player has logged out or has disconnected. Separate from is no longer connected because this means like they might never have been connected to us. It's just, let's just say heaven is not connected. Actually, I don't know. This is too ambiguous to me. How should I phrase these? How about has just disconnected? And this one would be, actually, this is not even true. Because it'll be in the log, right? Let's say disconnected logout, and this should say has disconnected player report. That makes more sense to me, because that's the origin, like what command told us that? Yeah, there we go. That's what it is. It's what command told us that. How come this is not being indented right? Probably because it's so indented. Problems. We got problems. Right, so we need debugging for logout. Because I'm doing it manually because of the fact that, like, if I didn't do it manually, we would be printing out the password hashes, which would be really ugly. Logout. Player ID. Just write logout for that player ID. Easy peasy. Okay, and then the orchestrator might see this message and it should say didn't expect to see it. Right? Kind of like this one. Pair unexpectedly told us to log out a player. Not using the client ID here. This is new. What happened here that I'm no longer using this client ID? Was that just always there and I didn't see it before? So, what was this for? Handle connection closed, okay. Oh, because I copied this from somewhere else, right? And yeah, I didn't need that here. We don't need to know the client ID. We just need to know the player ID, which we already knew. Okay. Okay, I think we're good then. Yep. All right, so then build. Now, I think I can get away with keeping the old version of the orchestrator as long as we added the command variant at the end. Well, here's the moment of truth. If they can, okay, if they can talk, so it's fine. All right. So you see, all the disconnections are because of player reports. So we should log in and then log out, and see that's log out by explicit command. All right, so that should be, whoops, that should be we are logged in. Yeah, logged in, players logged in. All three servers confirm that we're logged in, right? And then log out. There we go. Disconnected. All three of them say it's disconnected, log out. Yes, so here's where the WebSocket gets closed. So it was on server 10, right? And okay, so we were connected to the leader there. We should test it as if we're, you know, when we're connected to not the leader. So if we're connected to the leader, we add the command directly and we send it to both 10 and 11, right? And then both 10 and 11 report that, okay, we update our in-memory state to say that Ryan was not logged in anymore. There's an additional step if we're not logged into the leader. Problem is that it's chosen at random, so I'm gonna have to try this a few times. Okay, connected to a different server that time. So now we're connected to server 11, right? Now if I log out of server 11, okay, so server 11 detects the WebSocket's closed, and it sent a message to 12. I'm not printing that because it only shows up in debug, and we're not printing debug stuff. But server 12 was the one that said it's adding the command and sending it back to 11 and 10, and then all three servers report that they disconnected. So it was working. Awesome. All right, I'm happy with it. Let's check it in. And thank you for the follow, by the way. I hope you're having fun this Friday evening, morning, Saturday morning, whatever. I do want to sort those out in the next release. So handle explicit, well, handle player disconnect by logging or by adding logout command. I was running out of space there, so I abbreviated at the end. Yep, it's all pretty clean, so just commit that. Boom. This is basically the RAF protocol. I use the RAF protocol. The way we use it, for illustration purposes, I'll show production servers. A player can connect to any three of the servers. Only one of them is the leader in Raft, and the leader is the only one who's allowed to directly change the game state by adding a new command to the log. So if you're connected to the leader, then we just directly tell the Raft, add logout, and then it replicates the logout, and then on each server when the logout command gets committed, then we record that they're no longer logged in. There's the additional step if your player is connected to the follower, because the follower can't add the log command, they have to request the leader to do it. So we send a message to the leader saying, this player wants to log out. Then the leader adds the command, it gets replicated, and then again on all three servers, it gets applied when it gets committed. So Raft is sort of like replicating the command to make the state change, and then independently all three servers, when they know that the command has been committed on the cluster, they each independently execute the command. So I really should draw out a diagram for that, because that happens a lot, and that's a core mechanic of how I use Raft in my game. But I don't have a really good diagram of it now. I just have the words I just spat out just now to describe it. I mean, the fact that the servers message each other about logout, yes. Because if you're connected to a follower and you logged out, the leader doesn't know that you logged out, and the follower has no way of changing the game state directly. So it has to, we have to at least send a message to the leader to do it. And then the replication you can think of is sort of handled for us, because that's the Raft does it for us. So when I added the commit just now, I didn't have to worry about the replication. We can just say that when we append the command down here, that Raft, we just assume Raft replicates it, and we know it gets replicated when we get a Raft event back. Right here, we get this Raft event log committed. When we get a Raft event log committed, then we basically say, give me all the commands that happened since the last log commit index, go through all the commands and apply them. So we apply logins, we apply logouts, we apply player reports. So the logout is where we actually apply the command, and that's simply if we can find the player, then we drop their session. It doesn't matter which server. We might be the server that the player was connected to. We might not be. So there's going to be a small sliver of time between when the player actually disconnects and when the server no longer recognizes they're logged in. And that time is the time it takes for the cluster to record the fact that they got disconnected. It'll be like maybe a couple hundred microseconds, but not that much longer. If you log out when there's disruption in the cluster and there's no leader, or the connection to the leader gets broken, then we have some lag. And also there is a to-do item that I haven't done yet where we'll have to deal with that. It's one of these, right? Let me find it. It's this one right here. So, no, it's not that one. Oh, right. For logout, we don't need to worry about it. Because when the cluster gets stable again, the first thing we do when a leader gets elected is everybody reports all their connections. And then we sort out who got disconnected in the meantime. But the problem was when, what was it? Was it this one? Yeah, it was this one where we know who the leader is, but we don't happen to have a connection because there's a network disruption. It's like, well, we need to tell the leader that this player logged out, but we have no way of doing that. So maybe we hold on to it and send it later. So I suggested a cheap VPS far away in Europe, so you can see how that slower CPU network lag affects the cluster. Yeah, like it would be interesting to see how the how much slower the game gets when I geographically separate the nodes. My guess is that if I use like professional cloud system like Amazon, where I just used Amazon's distributed network, it would keep it pretty fast. And if not, then what I'd probably do is keep the clusters the members of the cluster co-located geographically, and just simply have multiple game realms depending on your location, and maybe there would be crossover between them in some way. Like in World of Warcraft, there's like, for every zone in the game, there might be one server that hosts it, or there might be many, depending on how many players are there, right? So they call that sharding. So I could shard a game space by having multiple clusters serve it, and maybe you could see each other because the clusters exchange information with maybe some lag. So if you're playing with a friend who's in the same country, there'd be no lag between you. But if you're playing and you're in a party with someone else who's on the other side of the world, there might be you might see some lag of each other. So I haven't sorted out all that yet. I figure that's a scalability problem I'll get to later. Right now there's only one cluster, and the cluster is all geographically located in the same place. Per the way EVE Online does it, all players across the world are in the same game. Problem with that, though, is that if you have a lot of lag between you and EVE's server, then the game is just laggy for you. I mean, that's sort of how it is for my game. There is only one cluster, and that cluster is all in one instance, so it's pretty much the same as EVE. Only I don't have any scalability, so like I don't launch new servers if I need them. Yeah, to support a big community, they either have to have a really big server, or they need to be able to dynamically, what's the word? Like activate new servers to handle the load. And then when you have multiple servers, you have a consensus problem. I don't know how they solve it, but some kind of agreement between servers about the state. They can't say like one server thinks you've been destroyed and another server says you got out alive. No, they have to agree. You can't be both dead and alive at the same time in a game, right? Scale out. I was thinking it starts with an A, right? It's when you A something. I can't remember what it is. If the word pops in my head, I'll say it, but I can't remember it. One thing to do when there's many players, they introduce time dilation. Yeah, but at what point are they unable to handle all the simultaneous connections, right? There's a connection limit. Maybe they just run on special software that allows them to have millions of socket connections simultaneously. Yeah, the slowing down in the game is so that they can process the load, but there's also that's the processing load, but what about the just the sheer number of connections to manage? I wonder how they do that. I guess it could be connectionless, and then it sort of goes back to just it being a load problem. It's just all the state required for all the various connections could add up, right? They have done many talks. Yeah, maybe that's something I should start looking at some point. I'm done with the main task, right? Yeah, we did that. Did I commit it? I think I did, right? So then I need to wrap up the stream. I think I will do some cleanup first, though. Maybe some of these to-dos. To-dos. Let me go through this to-do list. See if there's anything I can quickly get to. Yeah, hard. Yeah, that's another one I wanted to tackle. Okay, maybe we can get rid of this now. Oh no, I haven't done anything there. Yeah. Yeah, I can't touch those yet. Yep, same problem as the other one. Don't want to handle those yet. Yeah, no. The too many lines one, I might be able to do this one. This one's going to be annoying if I don't do it. Just simply split this function up would be a good idea, right? Yeah. So I think what I'll do is I'm just going to grab this entire block and extract it as a function. Let's see if the extract function works. Didn't work last time. Extract function. Oh, it actually worked. Maybe. They call it fun name. Fun! And here's the big function. Fun. Okay, that's one step. It's still too big, though. We'll have to split it again. But we want to name it like handle log committed. Right? And let me collapse this tree. Find out where that is. And then put it in there alphabetically correctly. So like right here. All right. Now this is too big, so I need to split that. Also, there's an unnecessary set of braces in there. There we go. See, Rust Formatter is my friend. I don't have to worry about the indentation so much. This indentation will get fixed once we split up the code correctly. I think the way I want to do this is every arm of this match should be different, right? So let's grab the let's grab this. Extract that as a function. Refactor. Extract into function. Okay, we have a problem in that we have a multi-borrow. So I might have to go into there and figure out what we need self for. Mute? That might just be the problem in itself, right? Yeah, I think maybe just getting rid of that. And getting rid of that. Oh, that was it. Okay, now let's just name it. Apply login. Apply login. Just keep it simple, right? Let's collapse everything, and it put it there. I kind of want it after there, so... Actually, no. APPL goes there. Right. Okay, so then find references. It's there. All right. Expand. So that's one. So just do it for it all. It sort of makes sense to me to do it for all. The other thing I can do is not expand this, but just make it, just give the whole command. We'll see. Found their hardware spec and a bit network details at the bottom of interest. Oh, thank you, Everex. That's something I'd be curious to look at later if I get some time. I'm just going to be extracting some methods here. Wait, why is there no comma at the end of this? Do you not need commas at the end of matches? Like, is that extra and we don't need it? I guess not, huh? I thought that you needed a comma there. Refactor function. Get rid of that, put a comma. Yeah, it thinks that it should be double referencing that. I don't think we need that, right? Because this is apply logout. Okay, and then this one is apply player report. Refactor extract function, comma, that, oh no, that one's fine, but it put it in a weird order. And I don't know why did it make that one mute? That's not necessary. It makes some strange decisions. Some strange decisions. Find all references. Yeah, I'd rather have it be consistent and have game state first. Okay, so the only thing ugly about it maybe is the number of arguments. That maybe it's something maybe I can look into. I still have that to do, but at least we got rid of the function being too big. All right, we need to rename this apply player report. All right, and then maybe sort these. So apply log out goes there. And apply player report goes there. All right, and then expand it all again. Okay, cool. And what I'll probably do is move these into different modules that have to do with like the different areas of the game state. Like everything that applies to player state, we maybe go into player game state functions or something. In fact, I might move them into the game state type, and then that becomes self. That probably makes more sense, right? Yeah, these extra braces got included. Oh, we have a compiler error. Server ID is unknown. Interesting. How did that happen? I thought we could trust the refactoring tool to figure that out. Yeah, so that's missing, so we need to add it. So there we go, I added it back. All right. Player ID is unused at that point. Yes, so we don't need to give it a name there. Have some other warnings. Hey, kitty. You want to say hi to the stream? You're just going to lick and look at me. Okay. Oh, yeah, we probably don't need the entire vector here, right? So let's just say we are going to use a slice. And this is unnecessary. Again, artifact of the refactoring tool, I think. Sure. Find where it's used. It's used there. Borrow. Yeah, it's like making these mutable for some weird reason. Okay. No problems, right? No problems detected. Okay. What else do I want to do? Refactor this. Too many lines. Okay, we have another one we need to refactor. Actually, is this still too many lines? Let's see. No, we're under the line cap now because I moved that out. I think I want to refactor some of these other things because it just looks nicer. So let's take this and extract that as a function. So this one we will name handle leadership change. And actually, it did a pretty good job with that one. It didn't screw anything up. Collapse. So yeah, that goes here. Handle leadership change right there. Cool. Next. There's only so much refactoring I can do before I get really bored. That handle leadership change. Where are we called that from? There was some other stuff I saw. Yeah, maybe the handle send message. Why not, right? Refactor, extract into function. Handle send message. Well, this is specifically send wrapped message, right? Yeah, send wrapped message. That's not needed. Maybe the whole leadership can go into its own file. Yeah, maybe. Do you get bored with refactoring? I do a little bit. So I think it's because it's not the kind of problem that I'm mostly interested in solving, and I don't have good habits as far like I have bad habits as far as making functions really long, making modules really long, and so making them small is kind of like cleaning my room when I'm used to being a slob. It's like, sure, I can do a little bit of it, but after a while it's like I just need something to keep myself going. Maybe, so I figure I do a little of it each time I work on the code, and maybe later after I take a break do a little bit more. I don't have to stream all of the refactoring, but just maybe some of it, right? A handle send wrap message. The other kinds of refactoring I will have to do is like you're saying, like moving all the stuff that's dealing with the same kind of concern, like leadership could go into a module called leadership, right? So there's all this stuff I can be doing. This is looking kind of clean. I think the to-dos will be to just add new functions. Yeah, so the handling of events is now basically just a dispatch. Every kind of event goes to a different function, which is great, right? And this should be that. That shouldn't be there though. Let's just put a dot for now, because I can find the names just by going to that, right? I don't need to put the names there. You always feel pleased when everything is nice. I do too, but while I'm going through the process of doing it, it just doesn't, it's not the most fun. Yeah, this module is getting big. I have to break it up. Where we're going to expand a lot in the near future is in the number of these functions which append commands to the log and then apply them. And in the previous incarnation of the game, these I put into a submodule, a subsystem called the executor. So the executor's job was to apply commands. So I might make a module called executor that contains all the applies. Around 1,000 lines. My goal is trying to be like under 800, but that's just arbitrary. 1,000 lines is a good rule of thumb, I guess. So yeah, these will probably go into their own module, but that really doesn't save me a lot now. So some of the stuff like read and write JSON file ought to go into like a utilities module, or maybe a JSON module, really. Like hash could go into like an authentication module. Yeah, so I'll think about doing that too, like breaking these up by like subsystem or something. Where can I get the most bang for my buck now, though? Right here, WebSocket message. What are we doing there? Yeah, I need to work on this one. Oh, right, there was the to-do that maybe we can share code between these. Because they all have the same format. We parse it as a client message, and then we pass it to a different function depending on the type of connection. Rest of it is exactly the same, so if I could think of a way to make this generic, that would be nice. I think I need to take a break first, though. You hate yourself, you make a module of 500 lines, 300 is a good spot. That's great, JH, if you can do that. I don't... For me, a good size compromise between being too harsh on myself and being too lax is around 800 to 1,000. Opportunity to write a macro. You think? Think a macro would handle this? Really, the only difference is the name of the function to call. So I think you're right. Everything else is boilerplate here, right? So if I made a macro that just took the name of the function, then the macro has the body of this and just substitutes the name of the function here, and then I would just invoke the function like handle public message, like that, right? It would just be a one-liner. Yeah, maybe. To me, though, macro is a last resort. I'll give you a point for the idea, and I'm going to put it in here. EverX80 suggests a macro here. Yeah, that's you're probably right that this is a pretty basic macro because it only has one symbol. I need to review the book for that, and so I get more comfortable with it. Does Rust have delegates and generics? Rust has generics. So a good example of generics would be what in my game? Let me think about it. Actually, if I go to Raft, for example, and I go to log entry, so here we go. My game uses Raft for state replication, right? But the Raft module doesn't care what the state is, nor does it care what are the commands that you would have to change the state. So I have made a log entry generic over some type T, which is what the implementation would pick. So for my game, T is a game command, right? So the rest of Raft can be written in terms of log entry and command without needing to care about T. When it gets compiled and used in the game, the generic gets monomorphized. I think that's the right name. So basically, it becomes an instantiation of the generic, some concrete type, where this T gets filled in with a different type. Monomorphized, yes. So that's a pretty simple example, right? I mean, also, whenever you have a vector or a set or a map, they're using generics. So I actually don't know what the random state is for, but the T, that's the type of the thing in the set. So if you have a set of strings or a set of numbers, you still use the same type hash set, which is generic. You just supply a different type argument, and you get a different instance of the type. So it can lead to bloat if you have like a dozen different hash sets, like a hash set of a dozen different things, you'll have a dozen copies of the code. Delegates, an example of that would be if I use a function, right? Like a fn once or something like that. Yeah. So I use that as a trick here to be able to call a function that takes a reference to the enclosing type, and we don't care what the return value is. So basically, if you're holding this thing called the game state, and you want to apply a function that borrows the game state, you can call map, and map takes your function, which is essentially a delegate, and calls it while it's holding the mutex, which protects access to the state, because the state is shared between the game itself and the replication system. So there you go. In Rust, it's fn mute, and fn once. So fn once is a trait which is implemented by any function that can only be called once, 0 or 1 times. So whenever we use map, for example here, we're saying we want to call this closure, or this delegate, on the actual game state to collect, basically sample this configuration variable, and we get it back out here. So we can do that because this doesn't mutate anything. Actually, it doesn't matter. Basically, it's only going to be called once. So once is the least restrictive. Any kind of closure can be called once. The more restrictive ones are fn and fn mute, because fn mute requires that it can mutate whatever it captures, and fn, I think, is that it can be called multiple times. So fn mute is the most restrictive in this context, but we don't need it. We're basically accept any function. Anything you can call once is fine, right? So you can use delegates to handle your boilerplate code. Yeah, a lot of the common containers and like this cheat sheet that I use, like option and iterator, a lot of them are generic, and a lot of them take functions. So like and then takes a function that is called once. So people use these and chain them together to do functional style programming. So the delegates become the function objects that are chained together. A particular instance random state will create the same instances of hasher, but the hasher is created by 2 different random states. So is it a way to share a hasher between hash sets? I guess that makes sense. I figured it's an implementation detail that's not very important to me. Yeah. This cheat sheet is really handy if you're going to learn Rust, by the way, because like these types are somewhat interoperable, like option and result. For example, I used transpose today, right? Transpose is what you use when you have an option result and you need a result option, or vice versa. It's like, well, it's right except for it needs to be flipped when you use transpose, right? So it's sort of like it's a recipe book for going from one thing to another, and covers different concepts, like especially for iterator, like mapping and filtering, collecting and folding, counting, combining with other iterators, flattening, taking and skipping. So really useful thing. But yeah, you'll see this is filled with delegates and generics. They're all very generic. All right, so one more pass, I think, and I'll just call it for the day. Let's see if I have any to-dos here. Oh, I did have another, this one, right? Do I want to approach this one now? Maybe at least refactor out the binary message one, because this one's friggin' huge. So let's extract this one. Refactor function. Make sure it didn't screw up here. Doesn't look like it did. Okay, this can be a slice. Basically, this means that we don't need to resize it. We're just borrowing the contents of the vector, right? And then the way you use it up here is you just say, I want to borrow that message. Because the warning was telling me I never consume the message, I just need to look at it. So it's more polite when you write a function that doesn't need to consume something to just borrow it. Another interesting helpful image is Rust memory container CS. What's that? What is this, EverX? Do I just click one of them? Oh. What are we looking at here? Oh, cool. I'll have to study this later. That's really useful. Yeah, I found this stuff in like the cheat sheet incredibly useful in learning Rust to like make sense of the relationships between types. So this looks like it's a similar thing where like if you want to know what's the difference between a cell and a ref cell and a mutex and an arc, this kind of gives you a relational mapping between them. So that's cool. Let me give you a point for that. I'll probably add that to my list of things that I use actually, or at least give to other people when they're learning Rust. Okay, let me find all. Change this to handle WebSocket binary message. Okay, and then place it in the right place. Actually, it's already in the right place. And get rid of a redundant set of braces. Format. Okay, so this weird formatting is because it's just too complex. So further refactoring it should fix it. This might be good enough. Like, I could refactor close into like handle WebSocket close. Actually, let's just do it for the heck of it. Refactor into a function called handle WebSocket close message. Get rid of these braces. I love the Rust formatter now. I didn't at first, but chat forced me to consider using it, and now I'm glad you guys did. In fact, in general, whenever chat encourages me to use something, unless I'm being trolled or something, usually the encouragement and the things to consider are good to consider. Yeah, we should never receive any text messages, so I was going to debug. Should I just warn that? Warn, because we shouldn't be receiving those. Handle, right? I wonder why this didn't do that. I wonder why it's adding braces there. Probably because it's too complex. Okay, this can be extracted. Block claims they have 0 points? Who? Oh. I think it's just a glitch in the bot. When I get the bot in Rust, it won't have that glitch, right? I think it's inconsistency in the database that I have to figure out. Yeah, you have 31. Don't worry. I think what it is when I do the command with a name, it looks up the username correct one way, and then when you run the command yourself, it's going through a different code path, and it's looking up your identity in the game in a different way, and it's coming to a different conclusion. So it's either a bug or an inconsistency in the data. So either way, either the bug will be gone when I rewrite this in Rust and catch it, or when I import the data into the database, I'll, especially knowing that your account has a problem, I'll look to see, well, what does the data for you look like, and how is it inconsistent? Yeah. Well, how many do you have? I don't think you have any points, A Wild, because I don't think I've given you any points yet. Oh, you have one. Okay, so your account is also affected. 0 is almost 31, sure. Yeah, it's close enough. And you can't run the points for someone else unless you're a moderator in the game, and that's only me right now. I should probably extend it to moderators in the channel too. Anyway, rename this, right? This is handle WebSocket private message. All right, and then get rid of these extra braces. Okay. I don't think I'm going to refactor these because I'm probably just going to do whatever I suggested and make a macro to handle them directly. And make the macro... Well, really, we already have a function to do it. We just need a macro to wrap it for all three of these different cases. Well, there are three other functions, yeah. Actually, to be consistent, these are handle game admin, game unknown, handle... Should this just be handle private message? I don't know. I'd probably just keep it for now. I can get rid of the refactor thing, right? This probably I don't need it anymore. Yep, it's good to go. All right, let me just... One final check. Build it, make sure nothing broke. I'll run through the things that we can do with the Rust version of the game so far and check it in, and then we'll just rate somebody. So, cargo build bin, or release bin orchestrator. And then, I don't think I need to re-export the database. I didn't touch that just now. I didn't touch the migration stuff, so it should be fine. Copy, target, release, orchestrator, exe to stage. Overwrite, yes. Package the Rust version. Stage, orchestrator, localhost. Yep, we have a whole bunch of things, but it should end in no one's connected. Okay, so then connect to the game. Okay, let me try a bogus username, a bogus password. So invalid name or password, and it doesn't even go into the log. Valid username, invalid password does go into the log, but we see the same thing, right? So it gets, all three servers say that, oh, that's interesting. Why does it say disconnect? Oh, because we disconnected, right? So it'll say bad password, and then we disconnect. So then all three say we've disconnected. Wait. There shouldn't be, okay, that's a bug. We shouldn't have a logout because we never got logged in. Okay, that's a bug. It says it failed, but it thought we were logged in because it did a log out, right? Yeah, that's an important bug. Log in, bad password, but you're logged in anyway. Okay, that's one bug. Ramu123 should log us in. We're logged in. Then I disconnect. We're logged out. Login as admin should still work. Now we're logged in as admin. Log out. Disconnected from that. Okay, so that's just the one bug then, right? That somehow login fail, we're still logged in. So handle what would it be? Apply login. Well, wait. We only set the session on successful login. It should have gotten to here and fail. We shouldn't have set the session. So how did it get confused? Oh, wait. The session was different from the connection type. That's what it was. Then I know what the problem is. We're too early acknowledged. We're setting the peer too early. It was there was a method of the peer, right? Can I just go to peer? No, that's in Raft. Shoot, I can't remember where it was. Connection. That's where it was. This set player, we're calling it too early. We should only call that when we know that they've logged in successfully. Yeah. When are we doing this? Because the macro's so simple and you typed it for me? Aw, thank you, Everx. I think I want to make what I'll do with that is I'm going to make my own attempt and then compare it with yours and then learn from the difference. I think that'd be the most educational, right? Try it myself, then look at yours and learn from yours too. It's just a template? Okay. That's fair. I mean, I think I still learn more just trying and then comparing. Here's where we acknowledge that a player is logged in, but where are we doing, what context are we in? Same server. Oh, we're doing it regardless if it failed or succeeded. So the solution is this needs to be split. We only do that there. This part. Here we do that part, right? So if we are the server this player is logged in on and we still connected to them, then we acknowledge that they're logged in. Then later, whether it's success or failure, if we're the server we're supposed to talk to them, we give them the response. Okay, that should fix it. I'm glad I caught that bug. Macro syntax looks like PHP if you squint your eyes. It does. It scares me. It's scary syntax. But it's actually kind of cool once you understand it, I've heard. All right, so I should try to log in and it should say that I am not logged out when I disconnect. So login fail with bad password, right? Yeah, login attempt bad password. Then when I disconnected, I didn't need to be logged out because I wasn't logged in. Log in with correct password, I am logged in. And when I disconnect, I get disconnected, log out. Perfect. All right, ship it. Unfortunately, I did the refactoring and then I did the bug fix, so maybe I can extract the bug fix out first or not. Where was that bug fix again? It was in apply login. I think the problem is I refactored it and then I fixed it. Okay, so we did two things. Extract functions for refactoring. Fix bug where a bad password would fool the server you're connected to into thinking you're logged in when you're really not. Refactorin and fixin. All right. Yeah, I made a mistake. I should have done that and then did a commit and then did that with another commit. I do that a lot. That's one of my weaknesses. It's like I don't check in enough. I don't check in often enough. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the stream today. I'm gonna go find someone to raid now. I know it's a shorter stream than yesterday, but I started late and it's the weekend. I wanna relax. So let's see who we can find. Okay. We're gonna raid our friend Chris. So here's his channel. If the raid doesn't take you there. And he's working on the chat overlay. Stream Parrot that you see over my head. He made all of that. So I hope you enjoy his stream. I'll be back next week, I think. I hope. We'll see. Until then, my friends, I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you, A Wild Abjana. I hope you have a great day as well. And stay safe. I'll see you next time, okay? See you later. Thank you. And see you. Thank you again, EverX, for all the help. Have a nice weekend. Bye.